It's Friday, October 17th, 2025, and here's the latest happenings inside the federal machine. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy of Ukraine visited the White House today to discuss the conversation President Trump had with President Putin yesterday. And the nationwide No Kings protest hosted by the Democratic Party will be kicking off tomorrow in major cities across America, with D.C. being the primary hotspot. And we'll dig into what this protest is on paper. Due to the government shutdown, 80% of the National Nuclear Security Administration will be placed on furlough. This administration is responsible for maintaining America's nuclear stockpile. Don Lemon, former anchor of CNN, is now advocating for illegal immigrants to find a way to obtain firearms to fight against federal agents of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Also, a sworn police officer for the city of Chicago was arrested by ICE because he is an illegal immigrant. You almost can't make this shit up. And President Trump announced that he will be meeting with President Xi Jinping of China in South Korea in just 2 weeks. Also, the 28-page indictment against John Bolton has been released, and it includes 18 federal charges of espionage, which we will be getting into. And there's a lot more that happened today, so we're just going to dig right in. And if you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you leave a comment on the video, I might just read it on the next episode. And I do the Swamp Monday through Friday, so I may not be doing anything this weekend, although I usually at least record one video per day over the weekend. And if you notice any articles in the video and you want to check out any of those articles, they'll be linked down in the description below. And we're going to get started with this post here from the White House. President Donald J. Trump welcomes Ukrainian President Zelenskyy to the White House. So we're just going to see the meet and greet as he pulls up and walks up, shakes Trump's hand. How you doing? The baby all grown up again. Gonna make some time to talk about what happened with President Putin over the phone. 2.5-hour conversation Trump had with him yesterday. As the press yells, as they shout. All right. There we go. So that's good. So this is from Benny Johnson. President Trump, quote, President Putin wants to end the war. I think that President Zelenskyy wants to get it ended. Now we have to get it done. The peace president.
President Putin wants to end the war, or I wouldn't be talking this way. I think he wants to end the war. I spoke to him yesterday for 2.5 hours. We went through a lot of details. He wants to get it ended. I think that President Zelenskyy wants to get it ended. Now we have to get it done. President Putin wants...
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope they're going to get it done. I don't know. I haven't heard any bangers. I haven't heard any blockbusting news come out, so I have a feeling that it's not officially over as of now. I think I would have heard if there was any kind of ceasefire or if there was any immediate agreement to stop shooting at each other. So I don't think that quite happened today, but hopefully progress is being made at least. So this is from Fox News. President Trump, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting, what do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea? And the Ukrainian President Zelenskyy said, I'm not happy with this. Yeah, because why would he be? And Trump said, I don't think he liked it. So let's see what that's all about.
Are you interested?
I just heard about it. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that. I hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska. That's going to get us to a lot of minerals, and we have a
rare
piece
earth minerals.
A good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think you liked it.
I'm not happy with this idea. But what's the point, though? Because on the other side of Alaska, I mean, look, if you look at the Bering Strait, hold on. Here, you know what? I'm going to bring up the map because I actually have the map right here. So, hold on. All right, we're going to have a look at this. So here we are in Alaska, in the middle of effing nowhere at this point. I'm assuming the tunnel is going to go from here to here because that's the shortest distance, and it would probably cost the least. So, yeah, we've got whales right here on the edge, which I'm sure is very, not a huge population, I would imagine. Here, let's see. So they got an airstrip, at least. The Wales Airport, a couple of buildings here and there, but nothing substantial. But beyond that, there is nothing, fucking nothing, except the Bering Land Bridge National Preserve. And then you've got, of course, I'm assuming that's called the Bering Strait, right? Yeah, the Bering Strait. And on the other side, they've got this tiny, tiny little settlement. It's not even a settlement. Like, there's nothing there. I mean, they named it, but there really isn't anything there. I've looked at this area before, Uellen. So there's a settlement here, and I don't know what they're doing out there. I don't know if they're mining or what's going on over there. But beyond that, there is absolutely nothing. So what would be the point in building a tunnel that would connect the two? I don't even think that any of these settlements here, like, there are roads that connect these settlements with these down here and a little bit down in this area. But as far as a road that goes from, oh shit, what did I do? Uh-oh, what the fuck? Why did it go that far over? As far as a road that's in this region connecting it with the rest of the Russian country, I don't think that there is any. I mean, what do I know at the end of the day? I mean, maybe not. And I mean, possibly there might be a road that goes from here on through. I just don't see the point. I don't it's going to be extremely sparsely traveled, if at all. And even if they were to build a tunnel connecting the two countries, are we going to allow free passage? I mean, of course, we're going to have, customs and immigration set up. But is that really going to be something that people are going to be taking advantage of? Like, people in Alaska, are they going to get a day job over in Russia to go to work for the day and then come back home? I don't know. Anyway, it's the first that Trump heard about it. So it's an interesting idea. I just don't think that's going to be a wise way to spend taxpayer dollars. Anyway, I guess for diplomatic reasons, I guess to try to form an alliance in some way, shape, or form, I guess that technically, I guess, could be a first step. Anyway, so this is the entire meeting. President Trump participates in a bilateral lunch with the president of Ukraine. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I just want to show that it's here. It's 39 minutes.
Right? It was good.
And what I'll do, I'm going to repost
right?
it if you want to check it out on my profile. You could also go to the White House, at White House, if you have an X account. If you ever get on the X platform, it'll be over there. And also, direct link to my X profile is down in the description if you want to check that out too.
If they're doing a good job, we'll let them come.
And this came out at 1:34 p.m. today.
Have a good time. December 5th. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be with a very strong leader, a man who has been through a lot, and a man who I've gotten to know very well, and we've gotten along really very well. And we had a big call yesterday, as you know, with President Putin, and we'll be talking about it. President Zelenskyy of Ukraine has endured a lot. I mean, he really has. He's endured a lot, and we've endured it with him. To be honest, it's been a long time, and I think we're making great progress. So we're going to be talking about that today. We'll be talking about what took place yesterday with...
Well, plus there's some of those idiot American citizens. You remember hearing about that a couple of years ago, where there were American citizens that were enlisting in the fight with Ukraine. They were actually flying out there, and they were participating with Ukraine fighting Russia.
My phone
Fucking
call
idiots.
with President Putin, and I think that things are coming along pretty well. It began with Alaska, where I think certain guidelines were discussed, and we want to see if we can get this done. This was long ago into the Biden administration. I came here and we inherited this, and we'd like to see if we could finish it, end it. We want it ended. So many people have died in this war, and we're gonna get it ended. So I just want to thank you all very much. If you have a couple of questions, go ahead, please. In fact, before I do that, let me just ask the president to say a few words. Thank you.
Man, look at this room, man. All the paintings up. I'm not familiar with this room in the White House. But yeah, man, look at all the press there, man. Just a whole gaggle of them just sitting over there. So there's Zelenskyy. Not familiar with these individuals. Maybe, well, he actually looks like he has a U.S. pin, so I don't know who that is. And that dude kind of looks Ukrainian. But I don't know who they are. I don't know. Whatever.
Sure. Glad to meet you again, Mr. President. Thank you very much for the invitation. Again, my congratulations with your successful ceasefire in the Middle East.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you did it. And I think this is the momentum to finish Russia's war against Ukraine. I think that...
He's getting better with his English, isn't he?
We understand that Putin is not ready. I think not ready, but I think that I'm confident that with your help, we can stop this war. And we really need it. We see that they don't have successful steps on the battlefield, and it's good. I think that their army is weak now, but a lot of losses. They have a lot of losses and in economy and people, and I think this is very important moment. And I
see that Ukrainian
wanted
flag
to
here on
thank
the
you,
camera.
Mr. President, after our phone calls.
Ukraine
Yesterday,
TV.
I had a good opportunity to meet with the big American energy companies, and they're ready to help us. Yes, after all these attacks on our infrastructure, Russian attacks, and etc. And I had also meetings, thanks to your team. We had meetings with a good military companies. We spoke about air defense, and I want to share it after with details where we are. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
President.
Very good. And I think it looks beautiful in his jacket.
Yeah?
It's beautiful. I hope people notice. It's actually very stylish. I like it.
President Trump.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Under the Biden administration, the White House was fearing of a possible escalation. They were not allowing the Ukrainians to strike into Russia, fearing of this escalation.
Yeah.
Would your administration allow Ukrainians to strike deep into Russia?
We're going to be talking about that. That's something we'll be talking about. You're right. It's an escalation, but we'll be talking about that.
I was going to say, man, that's not going to fix anything. It's only going to make it worse.
Because it's a leader that we like. We like Viktor Orban. He likes him. I like him. It's a country that's a safe country. Done a very good job. He's been a very good leader in the sense of running his country. He doesn't have a lot of the problems that other countries have. And so we've decided that we'll be going to be with Viktor Orban, and he will, I think he'll be a very good host.
President Trump. President Trump. President Trump. Right here.
It's in
President Trump.
Hungary, yeah.
Zelensky
We're doing Hungary, yeah.
With Putin. Is it a trilateral meeting, or is it just you and Putin?
To be determined, but I would say most likely it's going to be a double meeting. It'll be a double meeting, but we will have the President, Zelensky, in touch. There's a lot of bad blood with the two presidents, and I'm not speaking out of turn when I say it. It's a very difficult situation. You know, we just settled the war, and after thousands of years, I guess. People say anywhere from 500 to 3,000 years, and I was in rooms, as you saw, because you were with me, a lot of you were with me last week, with leaders that didn't like each other, but they were able to get along. These two leaders do not like each other, and we want to make it comfortable for everybody. So one way or the other, we'll be involved in threes, but it may be separated.
President Trump.
All right. I'll just cut it there. Anyway, if you want to watch the rest of it, it'll be in on my profile, or you can just go straight to the White House. So this is from the GOP. Well, technically, it's from Donald J. Trump's True Social, and it was posted by the GOP. The meeting with President Volodymyr Zelenskyy of Ukraine was very interesting and cordial, but I told him, as I likewise strongly suggested to President Putin, that it is time to stop the killing and make a deal. Enough blood has been shed, with property lines being defined by war and guts. They should stop where they are. Let both claim victory. Let history decide. No more shooting, no more death, no more vast and unsustainable sums of money spent. This is a war that would have never started if I were president. Thousands of people being slaughtered each and every week. No more. Go home to your families in peace. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next topic from Senate Republicans. King of the No Kings rally. So we got Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders. To be honest, Chris Murphy, I'm assuming. I can't remember who this little wiener is. But anyway, it says Chris Murphy, big day tomorrow. Don't let Trump's authoritarian crowd bully you into silence. This is our moment to stand up for our democracy and against his corruption. I will be with Bernie Sanders at the D.C. rally. Find yours at nokings.org. All right, well, don't mind if I do. Let's see what this is all about. Nokings.org. No thrones, no crowns, no kings, because they want to make it sound like that Trump is a king. So, all right, so here. No, that's not how you do it. Well, I guess, it's an old-fashioned 1990s style website because, it is the Democrats after all. All right, so I'm assuming these are all going to be what? Yep, no kings rallies happening all over America. Greensville, RSVP. So I believe it's only happening on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday, October 18th. So yeah, according to the Democrats, oh my God, they got it all over the place. Oh, it's just no kings everywhere. Calls and trainings. What's next after no kings? I don't know. Let's see. Tuesday, October 21st. What's next after no kings? That'll be on Tuesday. No kings will be a massive, powerful, and meaningful, but it won't be the end of our work. Join movement leaders and fellow local activists after the big day to come together, celebrate what we accomplished, and learn what's next. I mean, what exactly are they trying to accomplish besides, burning shit down, probably? That's what's going to be interesting to see is like, because it is going to be a national thing. Matter of fact, here, let me jump over here real quick, because I did grab a little bit of information from Grok with regard to No Kings protest. So this is the overview, in case you didn't know, because I honestly wasn't too knowledgeable about this either. I just knew it was happening this weekend. So the No Kings protests are a series of nationwide peaceful demonstrations scheduled for Saturday, October 18th, aimed at opposing what organizers describe as authoritarian tendencies, corruption, and policies under President Donald Trump. The core message, America has no kings, emphasizes that no one is above the law, except for, obviously, Democrats, apparently, and that the U.S. is a democracy accountable to its people. No, I guess we're not a constitutional republic anymore. I mean, they've made it quite clear over on the Democrat side that they don't want anything to do with a constitutional republic anymore. This event is a follow-up to similar rallies held in mid-June of 2025, which drew thousands and is expected to be significantly larger, with projections of millions participating across the country. So the purpose and themes, organizers including a coalition of groups like Interfaith Alliance, Reproductive Freedom for All, and Public Citizen, frame the protests as a defense of democratic institutions. The key issues include Trump's alleged abuse of power, such as threats to cancel events like the World Cup or the Olympics in non-compliant cities. Look, that's the first time I've heard about that. Every time that I've heard Trump talk about either of those events, he's been very, very proud about it. And the fact that when he first set these two events up to occur in the United States, it was during his first term. And since he was still running in 2020 and he personally expected to win in 2020, he didn't think that he would have been president when both of these events were happening. And he's made that apparent that just the way that the stars aligned and everything happened the way it happened, that he just so happens to be president when both of these events happened. So he's been all gung-ho for these things to happen. Of course, with the Olympics happening in California, the Olympics are going to be in California. The World Cup, isn't the World Cup going to be in a few different areas? I'm not so sure. I don't watch soccer. I don't know anything about the World Cup. But anyway, whatever. I'll just move on. So policies on immigration, mass deportations, and attacks on immigrants, with healthcare, the economy, and suppression of opposition, and broader concerns about corruption, failed policies, and efforts to undermine laws and institutions. So the protests are explicitly nonviolent. Yeah, I somehow highly doubt that, and I think I'm not alone on that one. With calls for joy, wit, defiance, and courage in standing up for America. Participants are encouraged to bring signs with messages like "We bow to no kings" or targeted critiques of Trump. So locations and how to join. Events are planned in hundreds of cities, towns, and state capitals nationwide, from major hubs like D.C., San Francisco, Chicago, Miami, and Indianapolis to smaller spots like Fremont, Nebraska. In Washington, D.C., a major rally with speakers including Bernie Sanders and Rep. Jamie Raskin. In Miami, march to the site of the future Trump Presidential Library featuring Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman. I didn't know they were setting up the Trump Presidential Library in Miami. That's kind of, all right, whatever. All right, San Francisco, march along Market Street from 2 to 3:30 p.m. with potential Muni service impacts. And Indiana, multiple sites, the Indianapolis State House and Federal Courthouse. And a rally timed with a new protest theme song released by local artist Michael McDermott. To find an event near you, blah, blah, blah. So we already went to No Kings. Mobilize.us. What's that all about? Mobilize.us. Volunteer. Oh, you can volunteer for it. Saturday. And so they've got a bunch of events, different locations. Hey, that's where I live. I live just down the street from Clearwater. Oh, okay. So it must know my location. That's probably so, because there's Tampa, there's Clearwater, there's Gulfport. Makes sense to me. Clearwater, St. Petersburg, and Largo. Yep, that's my neck of the woods, all of them. So organizations with upcoming events and yada yada. So yeah, I mean, I guess this website's sophisticated to know at least where you're at. So, all right. So let me go back to this. Just one more thing. Social media and public reaction. The event has generated significant buzz and so on. Whatever. I'm not going to read all that. Anyway, I thought I had more than just that, but okay. Yeah, no, I guess that's it. That's all I got. So that's the gist of what this No Kings protest is. And it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. I know the mainstream media, especially the Democratic Party, they're going to try as hard as they can to prevent anything from being shown in any negative light whatsoever. You know, the whole mostly peaceful protest with everything burning down around them. Not so sure if that's exactly the way that it's going to wind up being, but I don't think anybody's going to be surprised if it turns out to be that way, with people getting quite violent, because that's usually how the Democrats protest these days. They usually protest with plenty of violence. All right, so let me go ahead and get back to where I was. Here we go. So the next thing I've got, Senator Dick Durbin. Republicans have failed to produce any plan to replace the Affordable Care Act for 15 years. I didn't know that was our responsibility. So is he admitting that Obamacare is an absolute failure? Why would we trust that they will suddenly have one in the next few months? Because they want to repeal Obamacare. They don't want to replace it with anything. They shouldn't have had government fucking healthcare from the get-go. I mean, I think that Republicans have been quite clear about that all along. So anyway, yours truly, typical Democrats single-handedly create a monstrosity that hyperinflates an entire industry. Now they blame Republicans for not replacing it. Effing clown world. Who created the Affordable Care Act? Democrats. All right, so yeah, that happened. Dick Durbin. Dick. All right, Speaker Mike Johnson. Democrats have now voted 11 times to keep the government closed, blocking pay for troops, Border Patrol, TSA agents, air traffic controllers, and the rest of our federal workforce. Yesterday, they went even further, voting against a bipartisan standalone bill to fund our national defense and pay our troops. Their message couldn't be clearer: politics over patriots and the American people last. And while I'm on the subject, this is the shutdown clock. It's been 16 days, 18 hours, 36 minutes, and 38 seconds so far that the government's been shut down for, with no end in sight. The latest prediction that I saw, it said 2 months, which of course would shatter the all-time record, which is 35 days. So there's no way to really know for sure. But Republicans seem to think that it's going to be this No Kings protest that's going to be ending the whole thing. But yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I don't really know if that's really the way that it's going to go. I think it's going to be shut down for significantly longer than that. But I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. But anyway, here, let's hear what Mike Johnson has to say.
If you're keeping count at home, we're on day 17 of the shutdown. The Democrats have now voted for the 11th time to keep the government closed. 11 times now. They've refused to just do their basic job, get the government going again, making sure that federal employees are paid, that our troops are paid, Border Patrol agents, TSA agents, air traffic controllers, and everyone else who relies upon the vital services of our federal government. They're being denied that because Democrats in Congress are playing games. And right now, to add insult to injury, if you're paying attention at home, you also need to make note of this. Yesterday, the Senate Democrats took it a step further. They rejected a standalone bill to fund our nation's defense and pay our troops. They voted it down. Now, why is that so noteworthy? Well,
they need to learn a
lesson.
lesson.
Out of committee in the Senate with broad bipartisan support. And yet, the Democrats still engaged in a stunt on the floor, and they rejected it. So now they are on record specifically and exclusively to block the paychecks of the troops, to block the funding of our national defense in a very dangerous moment in world history. It is absurd to us. Leader Thune said this on the floor, on the Senate floor after that vote. He said, quote, "That one vote demonstrates just how fundamentally disinterested Democrats are in supporting our troops and providing for our common defense."
Yep, they don't care.
That is exactly what we saw, and I suspect that if they were here today and it was on the floor, they'd do it once again.
Yeah, and the Republicans really should lean into that, and that was actually pretty smart on the Republicans to do that too, to put to the floor a standalone bill to fund the troops specifically. Like I said just the other day, air traffic controllers, they're just left out in the wind, and they work with the public, man. Like they're the ones that are responsible with making sure that all of our flights land and take off safely, and they're not getting paid. And that's a really high stress job, and I think they probably should have included them. And, Yeah, I mean, like, who do you put above the other? I mean, it's almost impossible to really do one or the other. I mean, obviously, our military with national defense and everything is very, very crucial. But yeah, that was very smart for Democrats to put that on the floor because that way they can show to the American people that Democrats don't even want to pass a standalone bill that has nothing to do specifically with the CR bill. I mean, it does in part because the CR bill does fund the military, so I guess it does in part, but at least it shows the American people that they're not interested in funding anything right now. They just want to keep everything just completely shut down. And it also shows, once again, that it's not the Republicans that are keeping the government shut down. It's the Democrats. All right. Also, Speaker Mike Johnson, simple facts. President Trump told Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries not to shut down the government because it would cause real harm to the American people. Of course, they ignored him. And now Democrats have cut off government funding, forcing the administration to triage federal spending just to keep critical operations running. Democrats can make this shutdown stop immediately. All they have to do is pass our clean 24-page bill to keep the lights on.
The president
this is on CNN.
asked Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer himself in the Oval Office, in my presence and with Leader Thune, to please not shut the government down. Before any of this began, we never had to go down this road. But now that the Democrats keep deciding to keep the government shut down, they are forcing the administration to triage federal spending. Why? Because they have turned off the funding streams, Jake. That is what's happened. They can make this stop immediately if they would just do the simple and right thing, pass our simple 24-page bill that just merely says status quo, keep the lights on. Democrats refuse to do it. They are the ones that are inflicting this pain on the people.
Yeah, they're absolutely on the losing side of this. I mean, like we've said this so many times at this point, what, a minimum of 16 times now. All right, Armed Services GOP breaking 80% of the National Nuclear Security Administration will be furloughed. These are the professionals who manage our nuclear stockpile. Democrats let funding lapse. Now they're risking our national security. So let that sink in. So, I mean, God forbid anything were to happen. Thank God we've not actually ever had to use our nuclear stockpile. So I think a lot of people would say, yeah, we could probably run it just fine on 20%. Yeah, historically, sure. And I don't think that we're really under any immediate threat for nuclear war. Although, if nuclear war were to break out, it would probably be something extremely sudden. I'm not so sure if it'd be something that we're counting down the months and the years toward. But anyway, yeah, so that's happening right now. It's just another part of the government that nobody really considers, thinks about, or even talks about that's been furloughed. And USCBO, in response to a request from Chairman Jody Arrington, CBO provides a qualitative analysis of the effects of the government shutdown on federal employment, as well as real GDP, the labor market, business activity, and income and tourism. So I've got a link to this, which is supposedly it breaks down the details. So related publications, potential effects of a federal government shutdown. That was back on September 30th, though. Oh, okay, here it is. Here's the document, which is a hell of a... Oh, no, never mind. I thought it said 23,000 kilobytes. It's like, dude, this is a 25 megabyte freaking document. Good Lord. But no, it's not. It's, let's see. It's only 4 pages. So that's actually not bad. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but so it's a letter from the Congressional Budget Office to the Honorable Jody Arrington, Chairman, Committee on the Budget, U.S. House of Reps. Or no, that's from Jody Arrington, and this is addressed to Mr. Chairman. You have asked the Congressional Budget Office for information about the effects on the economy of the lapse in discretionary appropriations, often called a government shutdown, that began on October 1st. The analysis in this letter is based largely on the framework CBO developed in 2019 after the 5-week partial shutdown that lasted from December 22nd to January 25th of 2019. Guess who shut that down? The Democrats, of course. CBO will continue to analyze the budget and economic effects of the government shutdown and will publish additional information when it is available. So the magnitude of the effects described below will depend on the administration's decisions regarding the executive branch activities continue and which are halted. The administration has paid active duty members of the military, including the Coast Guard, this week, and it has stated that it will pay certain federal law enforcement officers. Some agencies, such as the IRS, were able to continue to pay workers during the initial days of the shutdown. In addition, any federal employment that ends because of a reduction in force that would not have occurred in the absence of a shutdown would reduce outlays for federal employees' compensation beyond the shutdown period. So let me see if they've got anything. Effects on real GDP. The effects on the overall economy. In the CBO's assessment, the government shutdown will have negative effects on the economy, although many of those effects will be temporary. The effects will increase with a longer shutdown, which, I mean, of course, we already know all that. The effects on the labor market. It's also got effects on business activity and income and tourism as well. National Park Service is mentioned in that. So other effects on the economy that they break down, which, let's see, it could have other effects on the economy. For example, delays or cancellations of data collection by federal statistical agencies increases uncertainty about the economy among investors, households, and policymakers. In the absence of certain data, the Federal Reserve would have to make monetary policy decisions with less information. Heightened uncertainty and the absence of funding for agencies that help mitigate various risks would reduce investors' confidence and affect firms' plans to invest in higher. In addition, some businesses may be unable to obtain federal permits and certifications, and some would face interruptions to their access to subsidies and loans provided by the federal government. Hope this information is useful to you. So this will be linked in the description below if you want to read that. And I'll move on to the next thing. Rapid Response 47 from the president, quote, Chuck is at the end of the line. He's being beaten by everybody that they poll against him. Chuck Schumer shut down the government to please the radical left.
Mr. President, do you think that the government shutdown is all about this rally that's happening this weekend, the No Kings rally?
I don't think so.
Some people say they
I think it's an element of it.
For the king.
They're not reopening it after, I don't think.
You know, they're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king.
Right. No, but just so that Chuck Schumer
stupid.
could go and say, I'm fighting Trump.
Well, Chuck is...
No, it's because the left can't meme, so the left doesn't really fully understand what memeing really is, I don't think. And the fact that Trump has hats on his desk that says Trump 2028, he's fucking trolling them because they take the bait every single time. They always take the bait whenever Trump throws something out. They always take it as literal can be. And I'm assuming that's got a lot of the reason, not just the hats on its desk, but that's just a meme that's been around for years at this point. Trump 2028. So now they're thinking, oh my God, he's a dictator. He wants to be a king. He always wants to be in office. He's going to try to run for a third. No, dude, fuck off, man.
At the end of the line, he's being beaten by everybody that they poll against him. And you know what he did is he did the right thing a couple of years ago on something like this, and he got hurt by his party. And it doesn't, I don't think it matters to him. I think he's just so dead that he'll do anything. I think they could just stay out forever. I mean, to be honest with you. Now, what we're doing is we're cutting Democrat programs that we didn't want because, I mean, they made one mistake. They didn't realize that gives me the right to cut programs that Republicans never wanted. You know, giveaways, welfare programs, et cetera. And we're doing that, and we're cutting them permanently. We're cutting a $20 billion project that Schumer fought for 15 years to get.
Uh-oh.
And I'm cutting the project. The project is going to be dead. It's pretty much dead right now.
Got him. Uh-oh. I'm sure he loves to hear that. I'm not sure exactly what the project is, but that reminds me, they were supposed to come out with a list of federal employees that they're going to be permanently laying off. I mean, the day that they gave us was Friday, and I didn't come across that today. So I'm not sure if they're still working on that list. Maybe we'll get that possibly tomorrow, though I doubt it because it's Saturday, but might hear something more about that on Monday. So anyway, this is from Rep. Mike Ruley, and he says SNAP benefits are safe through October, but only just through October. If Democrats won't fund the government, thousands could lose access next month. The House GOP voted to protect working families. Democrats voted to shut them out. And this is from apnews.com. Now, take a look, and we'll see what they're talking about up in here. So food assistance is safe through October, and sounding quite uncertain for the month of November, but a federal program that provides food assistance to 40 million low-income people could be at risk in November if the government shutdown isn't resolved by then. And yeah, I definitely would not expect that to be the case. So if you're low income, if you're relying on SNAP benefits, and if it looks like they're not going to be adding money into your card, you might want to start looking for places to try to stock up at least as much as you can. I don't know, food pantries, churches, places like that. Although I would say most people who are low income probably already have a pretty good idea as to where to get food if you don't have any SNAP benefits coming in. So, and in at least some places, new applications for the program are not being approved, but there's still a lot of uncertainty about the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program known as SNAP or food stamps, a vestige of a previous incarnation of food aid. Here's a look at where things stand. The food aid program benefits 1 in 8 people in the U.S. It's a major piece of the nation's social security or social safety net, rather, touching nearly 1 in 8 people in the country each month. They receive benefits on prepaid cards that they can use for groceries. The other big piece of the safety net, Social Security and Medicaid, are expected to continue paying benefits during the shutdown. But because of the way it's funded, SNAP is vulnerable. In the accounting year that ended September 30th, SNAP cost just over $100 billion, man. That is absolutely crazy. $100 billion. And, okay, so it provided an average of $187 a month to 41.7 million people. So is that $187 a month per person? I'm assuming that's per person because I doubt the average family is getting $187 a month. Man, I've heard videos on TikTok where some people are getting $2,000-$3,000 a month in SNAP benefits because they have 5-6 kids. So I'm assuming that's probably about $200 a month per. So states were warned about November benefits when the government shut down on October 1st amid a congressional budget impasse. A few other things were clear about SNAP. One was that benefits would continue through October, and it was unclear after that. Let's see. Finding money during the shutdown could be a challenge. Of course, they go into detail about that. And no thank you, AP. States are figuring out how to react. More than 1 in 5 New Mexico residents receive SNAP benefits at a cost of $90 million a month. So let's see. All right. Just going over. It's a really long article. Obviously, I don't have time to read through the whole thing, but it'll be linked if you want to check it out. Other SNAP changes are starting to kick in. So there's some info on that. And yeah, there you go. So I would absolutely be expecting the shutdown to last well into November, probably through the year. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if the shutdown lasts all the way into January, if not even longer than that. But I'm wrong all the time, so maybe not. Maybe the No Kings protest is the moment that they were waiting for, and possibly the Democrats might just show up and say, okay, let's reopen the government. Although I'm not so sure that's going to happen, but maybe. I mean, if they're talking about millions and millions of people showing up to these No King protests, maybe that's just going to be enough for the Democrats at that point. Although I just don't think it's going to look good to normies that you were willing to shut down the government, not give troops paychecks, not give TSA and other federal employees and just people across the federal government. They're not getting paychecks because why? Because you just wanted to posture for this No Kings protest. That's just going to look so bad to them, I think. That's just my opinion. But all right, Secretary Chris Wright, now is not the time to hold the American economy hostage. This administration was elected to restore common sense, expand secure, reliable, and affordable energy, and cut red tape. Congressional Democrats obstructing the government from opening and working on behalf of the people shows they prioritize everything but the will of the American constituency. And Secretary Sean Duffy, I asked average Americans at the airport what they think about the Schumer-Jeffries shutdown. The takeaway words, unfair, terrible, devastating. This is a must-watch for Democrats. Now, before I play it, I will say I know it's a tactic that Democrats engage with, and I'm sure the Republicans, the politicians, if you lean one side or the other, there may have been people that walked up to him when he was asking questions from the passengers just passing through, and the ones that say, oh yeah, I think it's great, the longer the better. They could have just so easily have cut those out of this video and only showed the ones that are in agreement with Sean Duffy. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that is what he did. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me. So, like, whenever I watch these types of videos, I kind of take it with a grain of salt. Even though the people that he talks to, I mean, I'm not disputing that people he talked to were unhappy, to say the least, with what's going on. I'm just saying there might have been a couple people who showed up that they decided to omit from the video. And anyway, let's hear.
I'm here at BWI,
let's watch it.
Baltimore's airport, talking to our air traffic controllers. This is the first time they're not going to get a full paycheck. They're working without pay. And so I thought, let's go talk to average Americans about what they think about this Schumer-Jeffries shutdown and its impact on air traffic controllers.
Well, of course it's unreasonable.
Very unfair. Incredibly unfair. To their families.
I think it's terrible.
It's devastating.
It's a lot of delays, a lot of frustrated people.
Shutdowns can be dangerous for the American people. Chuck Schumer said it's actually getting better for Democrats. All the while, the delays and cancellations.
Oh, it's certainly not.
Worse for you. The problem is
they're getting ratioed like crazy.
They didn't always see it this way.
It is not normal to hold 800,000 workers' paychecks hostage. It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want.
If the government shuts down, it will be average Americans who suffer most.
Families will be hurt. Farmers will be hurt.
This shutdown.
Oh my God. Lady, your hair.
Hurts you, everyday people, and the most vulnerable. They want their way.
Look like a conehead.
Settle for any kind of negotiations, so I don't like that.
Bad things can happen. It's a huge safety issue, and God forbid if something were to happen, this is on Chuck Schumer.
Putting politics ahead of people, that's what Democrats care about. This isn't a shutdown, this is a shakedown.
Yeah, you could call it that. Yeah, you certainly could call it that. Because there is no reason that they shut it down. It was a clean CR bill. I mean, hell, you've even got Chris fucking Como saying that it was a clean CR. All right, so House Republicans, shutdowns shouldn't be used as leverage to get more wasteful spending. Sadly, the architects of the socialist shutdown, AOC and Bernie Sanders, are trying to jam through $1.5 trillion in new spending. Of course they are. Bernie, AOC, architects of the socialist shutdown, helps illegals and hurts you. All right, so this is from the Ways and Means Democrats. How did we get here? Explained. And I thought this was absolutely hilarious. So, you know what? I'm just going to play the video first. I do have a comment on this.
Once upon a time, Democrats saw that people were struggling to pay for their health care bills. So Democrats made health care more affordable and easier to get. Now, millions who couldn't afford care or were denied it because of a pre-existing condition finally have the care they need. Now Republicans are in power. They want to take your affordable health care away. Starting next year, health care plans are going to more than double. Are you ready to pay twice as much for your health insurance? Democrats are working hard to make sure that doesn't happen. The Republicans would rather shut down the government and make everyone suffer.
It's just like this low IQ, like TikTok style bullshit. All right. So that's basically what they think of their constituents, I'm assuming. All right. So Democrats assume their average voter has the attention span of a child. They need the equivalent of a TikTok clip filled with wacky sound effects to convey a message which isn't rooted in reality. And it certainly isn't. Just so funny just how they painted the Affordable Care Act as just so wonderful and amazing. And it's so affordable, but it's not affordable at all. It's only affordable if the government is subsidizing your freaking monthly payments. All right. Anyway, moving on. Homeland Security. Fuck around and find out. If you threaten or lay hands on our law enforcement officers, we will hunt you down and you will find out really quick. We'll see you cowards soon. So this was posted on TikTok. I assume it's still on TikTok. So let's take a look at this. ICE, we're on the way. Word in the streets. Cartels put a $50,000 bounty on y'all. So what they're gearing up to, I guess, take hits or, collect on hits against ICE, I guess. So, yeah, and again, that was from Homeland Security. So, like, do these people think that they're not going to be identified? Like the intelligence community doesn't have facial recognition technology? Because they do. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they were already arrested. All right, Homeland Security, once again. Laura Inrod, why don't you report on the facts? And she's the senior journalist for the Chicago Tribune, reporting on immigration and what, community justice? Oh no, community and culture. 13 illegal aliens with criminal histories, including DUI, battery, causing bodily harm, and domestic violence were arrested in a targeted immigration enforcement operation. You should be thanking the brave men and women of federal law enforcement for removing public safety threats from the crime-ridden streets of Chicago. Under President Trump and Secretary Noem, if you break the law, you will face the consequences. Criminal illegal aliens are not welcome in the United States. And what she says is that at least 12 vendors from the Swap-O-Rama on 47th and Ashland were arrested by masked federal agents, according to community members. Developing. So yeah, so they got images of it, but all right, there you go. CJ Parson, Don Lemon instructs illegal aliens to go out and get a gun because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for? The left is trying to get ICE agents killed. Yes, they are.
Black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally, get a license to carry legally. Because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen. Isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for?
Has he always had that
Go back
lisp?
and read what the Second Amendment says.
The
And
Second
perhaps
Amendment.
it will knock some sense in the heads of these people who are saying, well, it's all great. I don't believe they're doing it without due process. They're asking people for papers. They're not really beating people up. These people are doing things that are illegal. Nobody is illegal. It is a misdemeanor to cross the border.
Oh my God, dude, he's still on that talking point. God, he's so retarded. I showed a video of that last week with Don Lemon walking around on the streets. I think it was like in New York, maybe it was in Chicago, where he got into a couple arguments with people over that issue, and it was so stupid. He's saying that crossing the border is not illegal at all. It's not even a crime. It's just a misdemeanor because apparently, according to Don Lemon, misdemeanor is not a crime. I think that's very interesting. So yeah, like as far as black and brown Americans, I absolutely agree with them. Go out and go get it. Go get more guns than you have family members. Go stock up because yeah, you got your Second Amendment right to do so. And I strongly advocate for exercising your Second Amendment rights. You know, stock up, and stock up some more. But as far as illegal immigrants, I mean, that's a whole nother story. And that really goes without saying. I don't think I commented on this, did I? I don't think I did. No. But there you go. So, yep, that just happened. All right, from the White House, what's sick and demented is the Democrats' obsession with defending criminal illegal aliens, which include rapists, murderers, and those who'd burn our country to the ground. But okay, go off, sombrero guy.
And then you got Caroline Leavitt, who's sick. She's out of control. And I'm not sure
sombrero.
whether she's just demented, ignorant, a stone cold liar, or all of the above. But the notion that an official White House spokesperson would say that the Democratic Party consists of terrorists, violent criminals, and undocumented immigrants, this makes no sense.
Oh, but it does. Not saying that all of you are terrorists and all that. Of course, they're trying to make it sound like she was saying that, which of course she wasn't. All right, GOP, it's pretty simple. Crossing the border illegally is illegal. Spanberger is pro-crime and will always fight harder for illegal aliens than the people of Virginia. And this is from RNC Research Unearthed. Abigail Spanberger says it's horrifying that under President Trump, crossing the border illegally is considered a criminal act. I'm telling you what, man, if Democrats get back into power again, if they end up controlling Congress again, which, you know, history shows they will some point or another, and get back into the presidency, you thought the floodgates were bad under Biden. They're going to just blanket decriminalize anybody. Matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me if they pass something that would allow anybody who can set foot in America, you're instantly an American citizen. That would not surprise me at all if they try to make a move like that. I mean, look, it's bad enough that here in Florida that they never got rid of that wet foot, dry foot policy with regard to Cuba. So if anybody wants to try to cross the Florida Strait into Florida, and as long as you put your feet on the sand, then you're allowed to stay in Florida. I mean, it's wet foot, dry foot. It's been the policy for a long time, but it wouldn't surprise me if they applied that to the southern border. As soon as you set foot on American soil, you're good. You can just stay here forever. We'll even give you the right to vote. All right. So anyway, let's hear what she says.
What we've seen recently, the really, I think, horrifying thing is that now under the new administration or the Trump administration, where every cross into the United States is considered a criminal act. In what we've seen recently.
All right. Yeah, every cross it is, unless you're crossing through the ports of entry. You cross through the ports of entry, and if you're seeking asylum, and if they approve your asylum, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you trying to apply legally to come in, which I'm sure there's a lot of citizens of other countries that do that, and they come in through the ports of entry. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not illegal at all. But when they try to sneak in, that's a whole nother issue. All right, Real America's Voice, RAV, illegal immigrant working as Chicago cop, from Ben Berkwam. This guy overstayed his visa by 10 years and somehow became a police officer. If that doesn't terrify you, it should. How many more are out there in departments across America? And it just begs the question, okay, so now that we've got, sworn police officers that are also illegal immigrants, what else does that apply to? Do we have judges who are illegal immigrants? Even that wouldn't surprise me at this point. Anyway, let's take a look at this. It's a bit long, but we'll check it out.
Astonishing ICE arrests yet. This is an illegal alien who happened to be a police officer.
Here, I'll turn it up a bit.
Park Police Department, a suburb of Chicago. That's right. The illegal alien happened to be a police officer. We would never have known about this if it wasn't
Can't
for
make
Ben
this shit up, people.
Borkwam and his fabulous reporting for Real America's Voice. Here's Ben.
Apparently this gentleman here is a police officer at Hanover Police Department, just outside of Chicago, is here illegally, overstayed his visa. How he got a job as a police officer. Crazy.
Well, it's the same way as the superintendent in Iowa. They just don't give a shit, and they just want to bury it and expect them to just cleanly get away with it.
Crazy's an understatement.
I am telling you, man, after seeing this combined with that superintendent, I think the Democrats fully intend to do that in the future. Once they get their power back, they're just going to blanket everyone who's here illegally and just make them a citizen. I don't know how they could possibly do that other than having a supermajority in Congress and maybe amending the Constitution. If you set foot in America, you're now a citizen. They would absolutely do that if they had the ability to.
So he overstayed his visa by 10
Fucking terrifying, man. Third world hellhole. That's America's future under the Democrats.
He gets a job as a cop. He says he loves America. I'm actually sure that the man probably does. But you can't have this going on. Ben, in his great work, he actually sat down and talked to this officer / illegal alien who overstayed his visa.
So how long have you been a police officer?
Since January 8th.
January of this year?
Correct. I just finished the academy.
You just finished the academy, okay. All right.
3 weeks?
Just to confirm though too, so they hired you on, you had work authorization?
Correct.
And you were able to carry a firearm?
No.
Okay.
On duty, yes. Off duty, no.
So on duty you could carry a firearm?
State of Illinois, you need a FOID and a CCW to carry a weapon off duty.
But on duty you could?
Correct.
Wow.
Okay. Wow.
So you hear what he's saying? The police said on duty he could carry a firearm because he's not an American citizen or a permanent resident of the United States. The only two ways you're allowed to carry a firearm under the Constitution. So a visa holder can't. So he has to check his firearm in his locker? I mean,
yeah, that's kind of bizarre.
How does somebody who overstays his visa even get hired?
Yeah, and do they have a shortage of police? Maybe they do. I mean, is it a shortage to the point where they have to start plucking illegal immigrants out of the community to start policing the streets? That doesn't make a lot of sense. All right, Fox News, Pritzker's, Illinois. Homeland Security says an illegal immigrant who overstayed his visa for a decade was sworn in as a police officer in a Chicago suburb. It's a felony for aliens to even possess a firearm. A law enforcement officer who is actively breaking the law, Assistant DHS Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said of Hanover police officer Radul Bojovic. And that's him there. They said he was in for 3 weeks, so I'm assuming that was taken recently. And Vince Langman, this is truly insane. An illegal immigrant who wasn't allowed to own a gun was given a gun to carry when he was hired to be a police officer in Governor Pritzker's, Illinois. And I believe we already saw this.
How long have you been a police officer?
Yeah, we already saw that, so I can move past that. So yeah, man, that also just happened. All right, Homeland Security, ProPublica is wasting more ink with disgusting smears about or against our brave ICE law enforcement as they are facing more than 1,000% increase in assaults against them. We have said it a million times, DHS enforcement operations are highly targeted and are not resulting in the arrest of U.S. citizens. We do our due diligence. We know who we are targeting ahead of time. If and when we do encounter individuals subject to arrest, our law enforcement is trained to ask a series of well-determined questions to determine status and removability. What makes someone a target for immigration enforcement is if they are illegally in the U.S., not their skin color, not their race, and not their ethnicity. The Biden administration tore open our borders and allowed dangerous criminal, illegal alien rapists, gang members, and murderers to overwhelm American cities. President Trump and Secretary Noem will continue to remove vicious criminals from our homeland. And I've said it time and time again, what Latin America did, they emptied out their prisons and they sent their prisoners up to America. That's what they did. They blended them in with the caravans. So, fake news, immigration. We found that more than 170 U.S. citizens have been held by immigration agents. They've been kicked, dragged, and detained for days. I mean, I would love to see that footage. Love to see the proof that they have of that. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if they arrested 170 U.S. citizens who were, I don't know, throwing rocks at them and swinging on them and striking them with their vehicles. That wouldn't surprise me if that many were arrested under those circumstances. All right, defense news. The U.S. military carried out a 6th strike on a suspected drug smuggling boat in the Caribbean, killing 1 and leaving 2 survivors, sources told the AP. This is the first strike that they've done with regard to narco trafficking terrorists from Venezuela where any of them have survived. U.S. seized survivors after latest strike on alleged drug-carrying boat. And that's Secretary of State Pete Hegseth, of course. The U.S. has seized survivors after a strike Thursday on suspected drug-carrying vessel in the Caribbean, the first since President Donald Trump began launching deadly attacks in the region this summer, a defense official and another person familiar with the matter said on Friday. It's believed to be at least the 6th strike since early September and the first to result in survivors who were picked up by the U.S. military. It was not immediately clear what would be done with the individuals, who the person said were believed to be held aboard a U.S. military vessel. They confirmed the strike on the condition of anonymity because it has not yet been publicly acknowledged by Trump's administration. The strike on Thursday brings the death toll from the Trump administration's military action against vessels in the region to at least 28. Trump justified the strikes by asserting that the U.S. is engaged in an armed conflict with drug cartels, relying on the same legal authority used by the Bush administration when it declared war on terror after the September 11th attacks. That includes the ability to capture and detain combatants and to use lethal force to take out their leadership. The survivors of this strike now face an unclear future and legal landscape, including questions about whether they are now considered to be prisoners of war or defendants in a criminal case. The White House did not comment on the strike. I don't know. I have a feeling they're probably going to go to the defendants of a criminal case route. Anyway. So moving on to Ambassador Mike Waltz. Venezuela is whining at the UN because President Trump is hitting back hard against the cartels and traffickers driving the deadly flow of drugs into the country. Maduro, a fugitive and cartel boss, has fueled this crisis for years. Not anymore. The U.S. is exercising its inherent right of self-defense as directed by the president to defend the American people consistent with the law of armed conflict and Article 51 of the UN Charter. And speaking of Maduro, there's a $50 million bounty on him. So if I seriously doubt that anybody's going to be able to do it, but if you somehow were able to get your hands on Maduro and turn him into U.S. authorities, you'll get a $50 million payday. All right, so what do we got next? Raw's alerts breaking. Watches President Donald Trump drops an F-bomb while referencing Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro during a press briefing. Reporter, all right, well, anyway, that's got the exchange, so we'll just play it here. It's only 21 seconds.
Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What could we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Dude, Trump is such a G, man. Oh, my God. All right, hold on. I got another one. Rapid Response 47. POTUS on Maduro. It's another quote. Hold on. It's the same one, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be 21 seconds. Okay, same thing.
Around with the United States. Thank you, everybody.
Don't fuck around with...
He doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody.
All right, man. And that just happened, too. Man, dude, this is a day full of that just happened. All right, man. Department of State Secretary Rubio on recent U.S. operations against narco-terrorists. Quote, we are undertaking these operations against narco-terrorists. That's what they are. They are terrorists. Let's be clear, end quote.
It's well known there's an ongoing narco-terrorist operation the United States has been conducting. As far as details of any recent strikes, we're not prepared here to announce all those details, but you'll get that information here very shortly.
And how are the survivors when these are meant to be lethal attacks?
Yeah, again, I mean, we're undertaking these operations against narco-terrorists. That's what these are. These are terrorists. Let's be clear. And but as far as the details of any recent operations, when we are prepared to announce those, we will, as the president has consistently done. So you may get something on that later today.
Let me ask you, that was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs. Just so you understand, this was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines. And
yeah, no shit.
That was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine.
Wow, man. But was it really a submarine, like a fully submersible submarine, or it could have been a semi-submersible. I know that a lot of drug traffickers, they've been using those, which the entire vessel is submerged underwater except just the very top portion of it where they can kind of poke their head up and have a look through like a windscreen or something. I've seen those before, and they typically paint them blue to try to match the color of the water. But if it was a full-on actual freaking submarine, dude, that'd be crazy. That we're even bombing them and blowing them out of the water. All right, so this is from TSA. A passenger traveling through Fly TPA, that's Tampa International Airport, that's my airport, recently left this heartfelt note of appreciation for our transportation security officers. Nearly 60,000 dedicated public servants at airports across the country continue to safeguard the traveling public. Thank you for your dedication and hard work during such a difficult time. Your commitment keeps us all safe, and we truly appreciate you. With gratitude, a thankful traveler. All right. House Foreign Affairs Committee majority, Uzbekistan has signed an agreement to purchase 22 Boeing 787 jets for $8 billion. That creates 35,000 new jobs in the United States, thanks to the President, Secretary Howard Lutnick, and Special Envoy, and let's see, Paolo Zampoli, who is Special Envoy of the President of the United States of America for Global Partnerships. We are seeing America first in action. And by the way, Howard Lutnick, he's the 41st United States Secretary of Commerce. All right, heading on to the next. Oh, wait, hold on. I'll link this. I won't go through it because we already got the gist of it. You know, they're buying 787 jets for $8 billion, 35,000 new jobs, the end. But there could be more details in there. But anyway, I'll link that for you if you want to check that out. All right, from Daily Caller, watch Democrat Congressman Johnny Olszewski screams during House pro forma session, quote, "Mr. Speaker, Representative Grijalva deserves to be sworn in. This is wrong. You know it, Mr. Speaker."
I hereby designate the period from Monday, October 20th, 2025, through Sunday, October 26, 2025, as a district work period under Clause 13 of Rule 1. Signed sincerely, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Pursuant to Clause 13 of Rule 1, the House stands adjourned until 2 p.m. on Tuesday, October 21st, 2025.
There he is. All right. I guess that just happened. That wasn't as crazy as I was expecting it to be. Okay, so this is from FBI Director Kash Patel. First time Antifa terror lockup. For the first time, Antifa-aligned anarchist extremists have been hit with federal terrorism charges after a July 4th attack on an ICE facility in Texas. Law and order is back.
But let's talk about for a moment the arrest made at the
it's a little loud, sorry.
Prairieland. Okay, this is the ICE facility at Prairieland, Texas, which I guess is outside of Dallas. Allegedly, 2 Antifa people have been arrested, maybe more. Can you tell us a little more about that?
This is breaking news, Larry. Just hours ago, a grand jury indicted 2 members of an Antifa-affiliated cell that launched an attack on a detention facility, attacking law enforcement and police officers.
This would have been yesterday, by the way.
20 individuals have been charged so far, but the key here is for the first time, under the president's authorities, designated Antifa as a domestic terror organization. We have charged these 2 individuals with material support to terrorism for their involvement in Antifa. This was a coordinated, planned attack by dozens of individuals to murder police officers. And Larry, a police officer was actually shot in the neck. These guys came and staged a scene at a detention center using fireworks, then brought in long guns and rifles. They were kitted out in bulletproof vests and masks and opened fire at law enforcement. This is what President Trump is prioritizing. We have to protect the men and women of law enforcement.
But Antifa's just an idea, though.
It's a terrorist organization. These are the first charges ever brought under this new designation. And this FBI is following the money, and we're going to dismantle these networks because people pay for this stuff. We're going to find them. They are equally criminally responsible as those that pull the trigger themselves.
So let's just one more moment on that point, because you've seen in the last couple of years, I mean, Antifa's been around, but people on the left and the far left say
they've been around since the 1930s.
It's a state of mind, blah, 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 blah. You're saying two real people, domestic terrorists, okay? They were indicted by the grand jury. I mean, if they're not real, then how come two people were indicted and that they were involved in attacking the ICE facility? They have to be real. It's not a state
Not
of
only are they
mind.
real, dude, they have a fucking flag.
Yeah,
and they wear that
read
shit.
The first sentence of the indictment, it says the North Texas Antifa cell. That's literally
Yeah,
the opening
cells,
salvo of
chapters.
the indictment. And where do these people collaborate and come from? It's not just Texas. They're out burning courthouses in Portland. They're out becoming destructive activities.
And they
in Los
organize on
Angeles.
the
And
internet.
The FBI has arrested dozens of these individuals, and thanks to our
They use
new
Telegram.
investigative
I think they use
programs under
Signal.
President Trump designating these guys
They
as
have their
domestic
ways.
terrorism, we have opened up multiple field investigations across the country looking at the banking and financial facilitation network. We are treating them as terrorists, just like we do Al-Qaeda or ISIS. People pay for this destructive act of violence, and those people are going to be brought to justice now that we have the authorities we need to go after them.
Wow, all right, terrific stuff. And the other thing that came up yesterday in the presser was a lot of the FBI special agents are going to continue to get paid. The number I have is 1,811. I mean, we need them out there on the front lines. You're going to get them paid cash? Can you do that?
So it's just a slight correction.
Your first name is Cash at the end of the day.
Is the federal statute for federal law enforcement officers. President Trump is going to pay all of the 12,000 plus federal FBI special agents.
All right, there you
We
go.
are working with him aggressively to make sure everybody, support staff, intel analysts, and the like, also get paid. President Trump has prioritized paying the men and women in uniform, paying the men and women in law enforcement, and I'm going to fight to make sure we get everyone paid during this government shutdown. And Larry, that raises another point. All these stats we just put out, these historic numbers on Operation Summer Heat and the juggernaut we're taking across the country, they're doing it without a paycheck. But thanks to President Trump, they're getting their paycheck, and they're going to do the job anyway. And we're going to fight to make sure everybody in the FBI gets their own paycheck, including support staff and intel analysts.
It's a great report, Cash Patel, Director Cash Patel, and we appreciate it very much. We appreciate your service very much. I will amend it and say G-men and G-women, but the FBI is doing its job. Just what folks elected President Trump and the FBI to finally.
All right, yeah. All right. But yeah, so that happened, and they have charged over 20. They didn't give an exact number. They just said 20 plus in total have been charged in connection with Antifa with terrorism. All right, Secretary Sean Duffy, thank you. Chris Sununu. Who was Chris Sununu again? He's the governor of the state of New Hampshire. Okay, I didn't know that. And he's right. The president loves the American travel industry. No one wants Buttigieg, Buttigieg, and Biden back. Our country is better off under the president and the U.S. DOT, Department of Transportation. We are delivering the air traffic control system that will be the envy of the world. And this is in response to Eric Daugherty breaking the president of Airlines for America just shocked the experts by confirming nobody in the air industry wants Biden and Pete Buttigieg back because they were crippling American air travel. Quote, nobody is pining for the days of Pete Buttigieg. I don't care what political party you're from. If you're in the world of airlines and transportation, nobody wants that administration back. It was nothing but punitive, massive regulations. Take 10% of the airlines out of the sky for DEI and environmental reasons, crushing the industry, completely crippling it. Now you have a president that actually ran an airline, right? They had Trump Airlines, loves the airlines, understands the strategic on the national asset.
They're pining for the days of Pete Buttigieg.
Nobody is pining for the days of Pete Buttigieg. I don't care what political party you're from. If you're in the world of airlines and transportation, nobody wants that administration back. It was nothing but punitive, massive regulations, take 10% of the airlines out of the sky for, DEI and environmental reasons, crushing the industry, completely crippling it. Now you have a president that actually ran an airline, right? They had Trump Airlines, loves the airlines, understands its strategical national asset, and is making the real investments, and have put people in place like Sean and Brian Bedford that say,
Sean
we're going to
Duffy.
get it done. They're putting their reputations on it. That hasn't happened before in a long time in government to say, we're going to go after a $30 billion high-tech modernization infrastructure project, and we promise we're going to get it done. That's real money and real leadership.
Well, and it's as if Trump put someone as the head of the DOT and everyone else is in his cabinet who actually have some expertise and not just someone who's looking for a political favor like Pete Buttigieg, who was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana? A city, but a very small city. It suddenly becomes the head of the Department of Transportation across the country. I mean, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so let's head down to the next one here from TSA. This is inaccurate. Mr. Johnson is not a TSA employee and therefore has no privileged access to the secure side of the checkpoint. So let's see what this is about. So WBAL TV 10 or 11, not 10, 11, Baltimore. Mac Johnson, president of AFGE Local 0449, was blocked from going through security at BWI Marshall while trying to check on union members on Wednesday. So anyway, they go on to say, for obvious security reasons, only ticketed passengers or those with a gate pass provided by the airlines are allowed behind our checkpoints. So that's TSA correcting the record. And there you have it. Once again, like just constantly having to correct the record of either local news outlets or full-on Democrats or the mainstream news. Just constantly on and on and on. Margot Martin, Andrea Bocelli sings in the Oval Office. I honestly don't know who this is. So anyway, let's take a listen. I know the song. All right. Anyway, so again, that happened today. All right, JD Vance. President Trump and I are closely tracking the storm devastation that resulted in over 1,000 citizens being airlifted out of Alaska villages. Alaskans, our prayers are with you, and your federal government is working closely with Senator Dan Sullivan and Governor Dunleavy to get you the help you need. And yeah, there was some, the name of the typhoon, it doesn't come to mind as of right now, but I talked about it yesterday, and they, at the time, as of yesterday, they airlifted over 300 people out of the area because of flooding. But yeah, I guess the remnants of a typhoon hit the west coast of Alaska, man. That's crazy. All right, Rapid Response 47. It's a quote, so I'm just going to play it. It has to do with China, which, by the way, so far on November 1st, China is going to begin bottlenecking rare earth minerals. So they're only going to allow only a certain amount under their control to be exported out to the world. It doesn't just affect the U.S., it affects the entire world. And they haven't said, at least not that I've read, exactly how much of what they're going to be exporting to other countries, but it's going to affect our electronics industry, probably our automotive industry, anything having to do with rare earth minerals. So that's basically what's happening with regard to China.
I'm wondering what China is thinking right now. Did Xi Jinping congratulate you about the success of the peace deal?
Well, I heard he did. There was a statement put up, but
because in the middle of
I'm
it
meeting
all,
with him.
He squeezed the U.S. by tightening the export controls on rare earth minerals.
He did, and I raised our tariffs to 100%.
100%, above and beyond.
On top of what they're already paying.
There you go.
Which is far worse, far worse. We'll see what happens with China. I've always had a great relationship with him, as you know. But they're always looking for an edge. They ripped off our country for years.
Well, yeah, man, they're a communist country. Of course they are.
With Bush.
They never got involved with them.
They made Obama was terrible, terrible. And, I really liked Ronald Reagan. I loved him as a president, but he was not good on trade. He really wasn't good on trade. On trade, he wasn't good. But he was good in many ways. But I will tell you that China in particular, boy, they did a number on our country. They took money out. Now, it's reversed. I mean, we're doing very well with China. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell you. We're going to meet in a couple of weeks. We're going to meet in South Korea, actually, with President Xi and other people, too. But we're going to meet. We have a separate meeting set up.
If you put that 100% tariff on top of what's in place already, you're talking about 157% tariff on China.
Yikes.
Can that stand?
No,
what is that going to do to the economy?
It's not sustainable, but that's what the number is.
Yeah, and she's right. It's not going to be good for the economy. However, roughly about 15% of everything that we purchase, all of the goods that we buy from everything in America comes from China. I honestly thought the number was like 40 or 50%, but apparently it's only like 15%. Still a really sizable number. And I mean, you don't have to tell anyone that a lot of our shit doesn't come from China, because it does. But yeah, I mean, charging that much, it's really going to cripple China. Look, we can I think we could do without most of the stuff that comes from China. I'm sure is impulse buy bullshit. Like a lot of stuff you might find in like Walmart, Target, just places where just like knickknacks and stuff like that. Although, yeah, they do make electronics, they make appliances. I get it. They make a lot of stuff that we find to be important or essential. A lot of tools, power tools, and things like that. However, I think we probably would do. I think we do okay without China at the end of the day.
Probably not. It could.
But what do I know?
But they forced me to do that. I think we're going to do fine with China. I get along great with him. He's a very strong leader, a very, amazing man. And you look at what he's done and what he's, where his life is an amazing story. It's a story for a great movie. I think we're going to be fine with China, but we have to have a fair deal. It's got to be fair. And you cover it as well as anybody that's ever covered this subject. It's a very complex subject. But China has ripped us off from day one. And, Richard Nixon, he allowed this to happen. He was the one, he opened China. And I said, is that good or bad? You tell me. He unleashed it. And we have a very strong adversary. And they only respect strength. They really do. They only respect.
Well, yeah, for sure. If there's anybody who's occupying the Oval Office when it comes to China posturing to the point where they are right now, especially affecting other countries around the world, I mean, what better than President Trump? I mean, certainly Obama or any of the past presidents. I don't think they would have done nearly as good of a job as Trump's done, at least with regard to China. Do you think that Obama or George W. Bush or Clinton, do you think that they would have nailed China just immediately with 100% tariff? Hell no, they wouldn't have done that. No, not a chance, man. And the next one's in regard to the Abraham Accords.
Do you expect an expansion of the Abraham Accords?
I do, almost soon. I don't want to use the word immediate, but soon. The Abraham Accords are a miracle in a way. And the 4 countries that went in initially, including UAE, highly respected, big and highly respected, they stayed in, and they're doing incredibly well. I mean, they're basically trading with Israel and have access and everything else. I mean, it's good for everybody. I hope to see Saudi Arabia go in, and I hope to see others go in. I think when Saudi Arabia goes in, everybody goes in, highly respected. And the Crown Prince, who's also the Prime Minister, and the king in waiting. His father's such a wonderful man. He's still healthy, and he's still very sharp. But yeah, I think that they're going to all go in very soon.
So they've indicated to you a willingness to do so.
Oh, they have, even as recently as like yesterday.
Oh wow!
I had some very good conversations. Now
Well,
they couldn't have done it during the war. They couldn't have done it with the fight with the fight that was going on with Iran as a power. With Iran as a power, that's why the 4 original countries really they were somewhat courageous of them. And they did it with Iran as a power, and they made the right decision. And then they stayed during the war. A lot of people thought they'd have to get out. No, the Abraham Accords.
That's actually a good point.
Amazing.
I never really thought of that.
It's amazing, and it'll help bring long-lasting peace into the Middle East. Nobody thought they were possible either. But the big thing is what happened over the last few days. It's been pretty much incredible. Just like your ratings are incredible, it's been incredible.
Well, yeah, and especially with the attacks that they were ramping up from Iran into Israel, and yeah, it is actually surprising that none of the countries with the Abraham Accords at least suspended their involvement, but no, they didn't. They kept on rolling. All right. Department of Science, the DOE, which is the Department of Energy's Office of Science. To achieve commercial fusion power, we must tackle critical science and technology gaps as well as define essential milestones. With the input of 600 plus stakeholders, the new Fusion Science and Technology Roadmap provides a national strategy for fusion. Fusion energy. Talk about a game changer, man. Things are moving quick, man. I don't know. It seemed like everything was kind of slowing down, especially once COVID happened with regard to advancements with technology. Because you know how the 20th century, it was just like from one day to the next, man. It was just constant innovation and looking from the year 1900 to the year 2000. It's like a whole different world. So, yeah, I mean, if we get fusion energy off the ground and start producing and combined with AI, there's no telling what the hell the year 2100 is going to end up looking like. So the Fusion Science and Technology Roadmap is a comprehensive national strategy to accelerate the development and commercialization of future fusion energy by the mid-2030s. It charts a clear path for federal support to the growing fusion energy industry, identifying critical science and technology gaps and defining the milestones needed to bring commercial fusion power to the grid. Developed with broad input from over 600 researchers, engineers, and industry stakeholders, the roadmap establishes the Department of Energy's Build, Innovate, Grow strategy for advancing a robust and competitive U.S. fusion sector. So, this effort advances President Trump's executive order unleashing American energy, reinforcing the administration's commitment to expand domestic energy production and restore U.S. energy dominance. By accelerating progress toward commercial fusion power, DOE is strengthening America's grid, rebuilding critical supply chains, and securing a new era of abundant, reliable American-made energy. The goal of the Fusion S&T roadmap is to deliver the public infrastructure that supports the fusion private sector scale up in the 2030s. So I'll link that, the roadmap. Let's see. And the activities outlined in the Fusion S&T roadmap are focused on prioritizing strategic directions for the DOE to further collaborate with the U.S. fusion industry. DOE's ability to support this roadmap's milestones and timelines of scaling up the domestic fusion private sector by the 2030s is contingent on the development of future public-private partnerships. This roadmap is not committing DOE to specific funding levels, and future funding will be subject to congressional appropriations. So there you go. And it is a PDF, 52 pages. It's a bit long, but yeah, it talks about fusion energy. And we'll see what that happens in the next decade or so. As long as people's electric bills go down, I don't think anybody's really going to have a big problem with it, as long as it's not extremely risky. All right, which I doubt it is. All right, House Foreign Affairs Committee Majority. President Trump does not mince words. Hamas is on notice. Stop the killing or be killed.
Well, the president also responded to my questions about Hamas. Don't forget, Congressman, as soon as the president left the Middle East, Hamas executed people. 7 people right in the next 10 minutes dead.
Unbelievable.
30 more people executed. The president is out with a stark warning for Hamas if bloodshed persists in Gaza.
You know, those fucking idiots, dude. So with regard to that, I would have been like, okay, the deal's immediately off. We're going to hunt you all down because we got the hostages back. So why don't we just go on in and just wipe them all out at this point? Because a lot of people were pissed off about the fact that they kidnapped like 250 hostages and killed a lot of them. And not to mention the 1,200 people that they viciously murdered back on October 7th of 23. And just part of this peace deal agreement with releasing the hostages, all of these Hamas terrorists were just going to get just blanket amnesty. They were going to be allowed to travel to any country willing to accept them. And, you know, no charges, no convictions, no jail time, no nothing. And Israel released 2,000 prisoners from Palestine. So, look, if we get confirmation that they're executing people, I mean, look, I don't know. I know Trump wants to try to keep the peace thing. I would just say that the whole deal would be off at that point. But anyway, that's just me.
I'm posting this on Truth Social.
See what happens.
If Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and kill them.
Good.
Mr.
Amen.
Chairman, I
Do
spoke
it.
with the president about this yesterday. He said, if they do not disarm, they will be disarmed. He stepped back from saying it would be the U.S. doing it and basically put it on Israel, but completely supportive of finishing the job if, in fact, Hamas refuses to disarm.
Yep,
Your
let's
reaction?
do it. Let's get this over with.
It's not just on Israel as well. It's also on all of those nations that were standing behind the president in Egypt.
Yeah, 35
Qatar,
countries.
On UAE, on take your pick of them that were there to say, what are you going to do to make sure that Hamas keeps up their end of the deal? They should consider themselves walking on eggshells or on thin ice. If they look at the United States of America the wrong way, they're going to be killed. If they're killing innocent people, they're going to be killed. If they're purposefully withholding the finding of corpses and bodies, they're going to be killed. If they're not keeping up their end of the bargain, they are going to be killed. They're on that kind of thin ice.
Well, it sounds like they've already broken the deal because they're still killing people. All right, Rapid Response 47, new lows. Gas prices are dropping across the country amid record oil production, nearing the lowest average prices in 4 years. I haven't seen that in my local area, but to be fair, I haven't filled up my gas tank in like a month or two because I live so close to everything. I really don't. Plus, my car gets like 40 miles to the gallon. But anyway, gas prices could hit lowest levels since the pandemic, according to Gas Buddy. Gas prices drop across the U.S. due to record oil production. National gas prices continue to fall, nearing $3 average for the first time in 4 years. I cannot believe that gas has been over $3 for 4 years. Well, actually, yeah, I can believe that. Will gas dip below $2 a gallon? Michigan prices fall to new 2025 lows. I mean, during Trump's first term, gas fell to $1.79. When was that in 2019, I think. So it's possible, I guess, especially if they keep producing record amounts. Hopefully we'll see gas hit that price and stay at that price. That'd be really nice. All right, RNC Research, Virginia AG candidate Jason Miyares exposes Jay Jones' soft on crime record. Jay Jones is a criminal first, victim last politician. We know it from his own voting record.
The reality is Jay Jones is a criminal first, victim last politician. We know it from his own voting record. He thought 60 days in prison for a repeat wife beater was too harsh, and he said we had to be more thoughtful. He voted no. He thought 12 months in prison for a repeat drug dealer to go on school property and deal drugs to our children, including fentanyl, was too harsh. He voted no. He voted for the disastrous Northam Felon Early Release Program. 9,638 felons were released early. In less than 2 years, 49.8% of them have already been rearrested. 70 Virginians are dead today. Dead today because a felon that was supposed to be behind prison got out early because of Jay Jones' vote and law that he championed.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Jay Jones, he was the guy that had the text messages, right? The one that said that he dreams of seeing his political opponent killed in front of his kids. Or is he talking about the hold on, Jay Jones? Yeah, I think that's who it was. I get him mixed up with the North Carolina governor dude because they're both in the news with their ridiculous, wacky policies and everything. All right, FBI Director Kash Patel depoliticized, de-weaponized one mission, making America safe.
Director Kash Patel, hats off to you, Kash.
Well, wait a minute. Did we already see that? I think I already saw that. Yeah, we already saw this interview, so I'm going to skip. Obviously, I'm going to skip past it. But anyway, this was also posted by FBI Director Patel himself. So we'll just move on. DNI Tulsi Gabbard. I want to welcome Jack Deaver to the ODNI team upon his confirmation by the U.S. Senate to serve as general counsel for the ODNI. Jack brings a breadth of experience, leadership, and a deep commitment to serving our country to this new role. Join me in congratulating and welcoming Jack and his family. And by the way, the Office of the DNI oversees the U.S. intelligence community and serves as principal advisor to the president on intelligence issues. All right, FBI, Justice Department statements regarding indictment of former National Security Advisor John Bolton. If you were waiting for this, here we go. I've got a few posts on this. So I'm going to open this up in a new tab. And the statement says the FBI's investigation revealed that John Bolton allegedly transmitted top secret information using personal online accounts and retained said documents in his house in direct violation of federal law. The case was based on meticulous work from dedicated career professionals at the FBI who followed the facts without fear or favor. Weaponization of justice will not be tolerated, and this FBI will stop at nothing to bring to justice anyone who threatens our national security. And we've got the article from the Office of Public Affairs. I don't see anything. Oh, wait, hold on. I got it way too big. All right, Justice Department statements regarding indictment of former National Security Advisor John Bolton from Thursday. So it's about 24 hours old, but that's all right. Federal grand jury returned an indictment today charging former National Security Advisor John Bolton, 76, of Bethesda, Maryland, with serious crimes related to the mishandling of classified information. The indictment charges Bolton with 8 counts of transmission of national defense information, NDI, and 10 counts of unlawful retention of NDI. Quote, the FBI's investigation revealed that John Bolton allegedly transmitted top secret information using personal online accounts and retained said documents in his house in direct violation of federal law, said FBI Director Kash Patel. The case was based on meticulous work from dedicated career professionals at the FBI who followed the facts without fear or favor. Weaponization of justice will not be tolerated, and this FBI will stop at nothing. Keeping Americans safe has always and will always be the top priority for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Maryland, said U.S. Attorney Kelly O'Hayes for the District of Maryland. If anyone endangers our national security, we're committed to holding them accountable. And also, quote, the FBI is committed to protecting classified information to keep Americans safe. Anyone entrusted with this knowledge takes an oath and has a duty to safeguard it. The charges alleged in this indictment demonstrate that there will be consequences for those who violate this responsibility, said Special Agent in Charge William J. Del Bajno of the FBI Baltimore Field Office. And let's see, the indictment alleges that Bolton illegally transmitted NDI by using personal email and messaging application accounts to send sensitive documents classified as high as top secret. These documents revealed intelligence about future attacks, foreign adversaries, and foreign policy relations. The indictment also alleges that Bolton illegally retained NDI documents within his home. The documents included intelligence on an adversary's leaders, as well as information revealing sources and collections used to obtain statements on a foreign adversary. If convicted, the defendant faces a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison for each count of unlawful retention of NDI and a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison for each count of transmission of NDI. A federal district court judge will determine any sentence after considering the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors. The FBI Baltimore Field Office is investigating the case. Uh-oh, John Bolton, using trouble? Using big trouble. All right, so I have some questions that I posed to Grok here. Bolton charged with mishandling. So this says, what does the federal government allege that John Bolton did? So we already basically got that. He faces federal charges for mishandling classified information. He violated the Espionage Act by transmitting and retaining national defense information, including top secret materials, through personal email and messaging apps, sharing over 1,000 pages of notes and discussing confidential details with relatives for his memoir. He's pleaded not guilty to all 18 counts. Well, I mean, if they found the shit in his house, dude, how are you going to plead not guilty to that? What, did somebody sneak in and plant it? All right, so, and then I asked, through what medium did John Bolton share this classified information and to whom? John Bolton allegedly shared classified information via personal email accounts, including AOL and Google. That's hilarious that he's still on AOL. And an encrypted messaging app or group chat, probably AOL Instant Messenger. Not that anybody uses it but him, apparently. He transmitted over 1,000 pages of diary notes containing top secret details to two relatives believed to be his wife and daughter who lacked security clearances for compiling material for his 2020 memoir, The Room Where It Happened. And can you share a link to the indictment documents? Here's a direct link, which we've got right here. It's a PDF link, and I'll include that also in the description, which will be right here. So it's a long one. It's a 26-page indictment, and it covers all 18 counts, which will be linked for you to check out if you're so interested in doing so. And then we've got this from Western Lensman from June 2023. John Bolton was thrilled about Trump's indictment by Jack Smith and wanted him tried as fast as possible. Gee, I wonder why. If Donald Trump were an innocent man, he'd be saying, I want the trial within 30 days. I want this stain on my reputation removed. You still feel the same, John? Apparently not, because he pled not guilty.
It's very powerful in the way that it's portrayed. But it's also very narrow, very targeted. The government didn't throw everything in the kitchen sink at the wall. It has focused this in a way that I think, as a matter of law, is going to be very difficult for the president to resist. I think the real question is the question of timing and scheduling. You know, if Donald Trump were an honest man, if he were an innocent man, he'd be saying, I want the trial within 30 days. I want this cloud removed from over my head. I want this stain on my reputation removed.
Why? So they can't
so
prepare?
We'll wait and see what Donald Trump does. I think he'll try and postpone it to after the 2024 election. So my suggestion to Jack Smith and the Justice Department is go lean on the Manhattan District Attorney and get him to move his trial until after the election. This trial should take precedence. We'll find out whether Alvin Bragg is a real prosecutor or a political hack. The answer to their complaint about a double standard, the question they should be asked is even though Biden has escaped scot-free, Clinton has escaped scot-free, fill in the blank has escaped scot-free, is the answer to the double standard to let Donald Trump escape scot-free? Is the answer to the double standard to revert to no standard at all? I think that's wrong.
Oh, well, Mr. Bolton, now you're in the hot seat, sir. So we'll see what happens with your ass. All right, Eric Daugherty, holy crap, John Bolton is screwed. He has been indicted under the Espionage Act, and the 26-page indictment includes 18 federal charges. That's the Espionage Act. John Bolton absolutely cooked himself. The fuck around find out train is full steam ahead, open and shut case. Yikes, man.
Yeah, so John Bolton was charged with 18 federal counts, and I apologize, I'm going to look down, I'm reading this, we're still just getting this. We have the first 8 counts are transmission of national defense information. The second set of 9 counts, that's counts 9 through 18, is retention of national defense information. And that looks like it's U.S. Code Title 19, Section 793D and E, which is part of the Espionage Act. Now, there was another statute that they were considering, and it looks like they've only charged him with those Espionage Act statutes, but we're still reading through this indictment. It's 26 pages long. There's a lot of background information here, and I apologize, but we're literally just getting this in right now, so I'm still...
Well, then why are you apologizing if you just got it? All right, C3. So... quote, I hope he gets 176 years in jail for what he did. John Bolton on Julian Assange. John Bolton is now facing 180 years on 18 counts under the Espionage Act. Almost like poetic justice. Because, man, Julian Assange, man, he's a hero.
He's committed clear criminal activity. He's no more a journalist than the chair I'm sitting on. The information that he divulged did, in fact, put many people in jeopardy. It undercut the ability of the United States to have confidential diplomatic communications, not just with other foreign governments, but in many countries with dissidents, people who even speak.
Oh, come on, dude. He just provided a platform, WikiLeaks, for other people to share the information that they obtained.
American diplomats could find themselves in trouble. And so, you know, he's been complaining about his treatment over the past period of time. He's the one who sought asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy.
Are you going to complain about your treatment?
Now he faces extradition to the United States. I presume he will get due process in the United Kingdom to determine whether extradition should go forward. And when he gets to the United States, he'll get due process here. And I hope he gets at least 176 years in jail.
Oh, what a fucking asshole.
Stella?
Well, of course, Ambassador
Well, let's return that energy straight back to you. Hope you get 180 years, dude.
He has, during his time for the Bush administration and later the Trump administration, sought to undermine the international legal system, ensure that the U.S. is not under the International Criminal Court's jurisdiction. And if it was, Mr. Bolton might, in fact, be prosecuted under the ICC. He was one of the chief cheerleaders of the Iraq War, which Julian then exposed through these leaks. So he has a conflict of interest here.
All right. Well, okay. I guess so. But yeah, I mean, we already know how all that turned out. But anyway, that is all that I've got, man. It's finally Friday. It's the weekend. It's Friday night. The weekend. So yeah, I mean, it actually turned out to be a fairly busy day. I thought it was going to be kind of a slow day, but no, man, a lot of shit happened today. And just one more reminder, the shutdown, 16 days, 19 hours, 59 minutes, and 7 seconds. It continues, and I'm sure that's just going to get longer and longer as the days roll on. And anyway, so that's going to be it for this episode. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It'll mean a lot to me if you subscribe, and I'll drop a new show every evening, Monday through Friday, covering the swamp and everyone living in it, including the politicians, the bureaucrats, agencies, and everything else. I also post daily episodes on X, so feel free to comment over there too if you'd like. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your night and have a great weekend, and God bless America.